Right, Liam, I think we should just get started then.
Sounds great.
Cool. So, good morning, everyone. So, welcome to the Yealink and Microsoft Global Roadshow, and it is our great honor and privilege to greet you all today in our third stop, North America. As you guys may know, my name is Tyler, and I'm the General Manager here with Yealink. Please allow me to introduce our presenter today at Microsoft. I would like to introduce Liam, Partner Technology Strategist at Microsoft, who is co-hosting this roadshow with me today. Liam, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Excellent. Thanks. Great to be here, Tyler. My role at Microsoft is primarily around partner enablement, strategizing and making sure that all of our partners have everything that they need from the technical side of things for successful Teams Rooms deployments. And I'm going to be joined today with Tyler, so we'll review some of these options that we have to look into from the device perspective.
Right. Thank you, Liam. I'm sure that today we're going to proactively interact with all attendees and they would have a lot of questions for us. And so thank you for your time here today with us. I would therefore like to invite all of our friends today to interact and leave your messages and ideas in the chat box during the whole event, because we have a dedicated pre-sale team and engineer team today ready to interact with you with any questions you have. So today we're also pleased to invite Kurt Peterson, General Manager, Global Device Partner Sales at Microsoft, to deliver a recorded video to all of our Microsoft and Yealink partners. Before we start, I would like to invite everyone to enjoy this welcoming speech. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kurt Peterson, and I lead the Global Device Partner team here at Microsoft. I'm really excited to congratulate the entire Yealink team on the start of their 2021 Microsoft Teams Rooms Global Device Partner Roadshow. This roadshow spans 14 countries and continues until the end of September. During the roadshow, our joint partners will hear from both Microsoft and Yealink industry experts in how to grow their hybrid workplace practice with Microsoft Teams Rooms and Yealink devices. Since 2015, Microsoft and Yealink have had a strong partnership in creating Microsoft Teams certified devices that provide unique and meaningful customer experiences. I'm really proud to say that over this past year, Yealink has been one of our fastest growing partners in the Teams Room space. Now more than ever, ubiquitous communications through hardware and software that work seamlessly together is critical in how we work today. In the hybrid work scenarios of the post-pandemic world, Yealink's Teams Rooms devices will empower collaboration between virtual participants and in-room participants seamlessly. Yealink offers a full end-to-end Teams device experience from Teams Rooms, Teams phones, and Teams personal devices, including headsets, webcams, and speakers. Yealink's unique Microsoft Teams Rooms devices are quickly becoming business essentials. We would like for you to register to Microsoft Teams Rooms Global Device Partner Roadshow today to see how Microsoft and Yealink work together to provide solutions you can deliver to customers that elevate their business success. Thank you, Yealink, for inviting me to celebrate your roadshow. I look forward to the continued strong partnership and to be bringing more innovations to our global customers in the future around the world. Thank you.
Right. So thank you, Kurt, for the speech here. It has always been a pleasant journey to work and integrate all of these great and fantastic products offerings with Microsoft. Our relationship with Microsoft has been concrete since our first encounter in the Microsoft Lync era. We look forward to more and more exciting things happening between our two companies and work together to create products that deliver meaningful values to our mutual partners. So just so you guys know that in today's event, we are going to dig into some industry and market insights and trends around Microsoft Teams Room. But if anyone here is interested in the more product-centric sessions, make sure you also register our exclusive webinar happens next month with our engineer team digging into the Teams Room solutions specifically. So without further ado, let's get started. So I would like to firstly outline today's takeaway. So as tradition, I would like to properly introduce Yealink as a company to all of our friends, especially for those of you who are not really familiar with us. Moving on, I would have Liam to share his thoughts about current and future challenges in hybrid workplace. With that, I will also deliver a presentation about how our Yealink Microsoft certified solutions addresses all these inevitable new normal. We will then also discuss how we perceive the trends of the future meetings, especially the Microsoft Teams meeting room, and how we have what we have had on our roadmaps. Last but not least, we will also share partner programs and promotions from both Microsoft and Yealink. Remember, throughout the whole session, we will have several rounds of lucky draw. So if you haven't heard of devices such as Teams room panels or end speech, then today is the day for you to have a chance to win one and witness how these devices work. So first thing first, I'd like to properly introduce Yealink to all of our partners. Yealink has been a global unified communication and collaboration solution provider since 2001. We have covered vibrant and various product lines, including desk IP phone, video conferencing solutions, and personal peripherals. Within the past 20 years, we have grown rapidly and have gone public with a market share with more than $10 billion. A few achievements and competitive edge that I'd like to highlight to you. We have now become a global #1 SIP phone provider since 2018, with the capability to serve customers from more than 140 countries through global and local distributors. Speaking about our relationship with Microsoft specifically, as claimed earlier, we have been partnered together since the Microsoft Link era in 2015, and now we have become a Microsoft top communication partner with 3 outstanding achievements. We are now the fastest growing vendor of Microsoft Teams Room measured by year-on-year figures, and have now also become the first and only provider that is capable of delivering a full range Microsoft Teams certified solutions among the Teams Phone, Teams Room, and personal devices. Combining our previous strengths on IP phones specifically and the Teams platform and services, we are also now the #1 team phone provider in the globe. So our success is not just through providing competitive product offerings, but also more importantly, we count on and we trust on our partners, which is you guys being here today. As we work with more than 100 global and local distributors and have presence in more than 140 countries, that leads us to have the capability to cover and serve multiple industry verticals with all these famous names, as you can see on the slide. And now let's just move on to today's main topic, equitable hybrid workplace meeting experience. Before we share what solutions we have had, I'd like to pass it on to Liam to share his thoughts about current challenges and insights in hybrid workplace from a Microsoft perspective. Over to you, Liam.
Thanks, Tyler. Yeah, so as you mentioned, we saw some dates back there all the way back from 2015, back in the old Link days, and there were certainly challenges, during that time. The challenges have grown and evolved as the needs have for the masses, and really the pandemic kind of threw everyone for a loop. So there are inherent challenges that come along with trying to structure and figure out what is the best way for us to handle meetings as we move forward. And to really do that, we thought about trying to analyze, okay, what are the foundational changes that have occurred in how we used to work versus today? And what that really means is that there are new requirements that are put in place that help us to be able to work better and more efficient, even in kind of the disjointed and slightly disconnected mentality of the world today. We're looking at trying to bring everyone back together. And like I mentioned, there's some challenge certainly that come with that situation. What we really need to do is we need to break away from the old habits and start looking towards new, better ways to do our work together. And that new normal, I mean, even though the phrase is pretty popular, get back to the new normal, what that really means is that new normal, it needs to be flexible and dynamic and not really static like the way it used to be. And there's a lot of vision that's involved with trying to come up with better ways to do these kinds of, work-based tasks that we've had traditionally, comparatively how we used to do them. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at some of the numbers and the features from our CEO, Satya. He really took a step back and said, what does this mean? What is the impact that we're experiencing today? And when we start looking at these numbers that are up here, that 250 million, I mean, these numbers were taken 8 weeks ago, and we're honestly seeing spikes of up to 75 million daily active users. And when we start also factoring in the minutes that are being spent in Teams meetings, it's 4.1 billion with a B, seeing spikes of that level in one day. That's just a massive difference from the way that we were doing business before. And again, recognizing that we need to be more efficient moving forward. The reality is that meetings, they've changed, and the requirements have changed, and the way that we're doing them has changed. And to keep up with those changes, Microsoft Teams has had to implement some changes in itself. We actually have a lot of features that have been released, even just over the past year, that have really changed the way the Teams platform in general works and performs. There are a lot of additional features that have been put in, like we're using today, like the PowerPoint Live feature that really stretches out the capabilities comparatively to the way that they used to be. And when we also look at things, we need to determine what about the devices themselves? How have they been impacted by the changes that have occurred? What are the things that we need to consider to really expand that meeting situation of not just on a traditional room system, but maybe also from a mobile device or a portable situation? Because the reality is that the workplace has changed, and it's not always going to be as static as it was before, where if you had a meeting, you went into the office, you sat in the room, you conducted your meeting, and then you went back to your desk and did the rest of your work. It's changed now, and there are some people who are going to be returning to the office, and there are some people who are not going to be returning to the office. So this is where that flexibility really comes in, and you have to be able to plan ahead for both of those situations. And that's why we look at it more as a hybrid environment, to where you're going to have a bit of both situations there. And we also need to start wondering, okay, from a business perspective, are the customers actually ready for this new hybrid workplace? Because for the most part, we're seeing that change has not really started to implement until very, very recently. And some people start to feel a little bit of a panic situation kicking in. So what we want to do is really kind of take the reins on there and guide our partners and our customers into being able to ease into this new hybrid workplace type of dynamic. We took a look also at through surveys. We have what's called a work trend index internally here, and we did a finding study that it interacted with over 30,000 people in 31 countries. So pretty broad type of surveying that we did to try to figure out how is this being impacted. And what we've looked at is about 73% of the workers that are in the workforce today say that they actually want more, flexible type of work environments. They want that to stay in place. They've had a taste of it now of being able to work from home, and they've recognized that they're doing their work better and more efficiently, and they would like to carry on with that type of mentality moving forward. And from the organizational standpoint, we've looked at the management side of things too. And really, there's about 80% of those managers that say that they want to be able to anticipate and they expect more flexible working from home or working remotely types of policies that are going to be put in place after the pandemic subsides. So we're seeing that customers and workers want it, and also IT staff wants it too. So we need to be prepared for it. There's a bit of a catch with the ability to work remotely though too. It's just kind of an inherent thing that some of the people feel like they're less connected with each other than they used to be. They don't have that camaraderie that they had of being able to walk into the office, hang out with their coworkers, really experience, things together. And they're doing these things in a remote type of fashion now. So this is where video and audio together with it really comes into play to keep them feeling like they're actually connected. And we also looked at the fact that at the same time that all these numbers were being factored in, there's about 67% of employees that say that they want in-person collaboration. So this is, again, where that hybrid scenario kicks in, that you've got people on both sides of the fence that want to continue to do things remotely, and then they also want to be able to do things in person. So we look at how to plan ahead for those situations with devices and application capabilities that span a remote situation and also an on-site in the office type of situation. But keeping that in mind, there's also recognizing how systems and rooms themselves have been deployed today. And really, there's about 93% of those rooms that are deployed globally that they're equipped with like minimal technologies to actually have an adequate room system associated to them. So there's a lot of growth capabilities into making those older rooms brought up to speed in the modern era with the modern workplace and a hybrid aspect of things, in place. There's a usability factor too, where a large percentage, more than half, 63% of people say that they would actually use video conferencing rooms more if they were equipped with better devices. And it's not just cameras, it's also speakers. We've all been on those meetings where someone joins from a laptop in a meeting room and they've got their mic, still left on, and you start hearing that audio feedback back and forth between the devices. That's not a good situation. People don't want that. So in partnerships with Yealink, we've looked at how to better the device experience so that you don't have those situations, make them more favorable. And that situation is going to increase, not one or even double or triple. The projections on it have it forecasted at a 6-time difference in how the devices were deployed before and seeding them out to expanding more devices in more rooms by a factor of 6. So that's supposed to be coming out by 2025. So right on the horizon here, a massive, massive growth potential. And those hybrid meetings themselves, we need to plan ahead. We need to make sure that we recognize what we did before, learn from those situations, and make it better. And in early stages, the people that were in the office, they really had the advantage in a meeting itself, because they were able to collaborate directly with people that were more than likely sitting right across from them. They were able to share content very easily, walk up to a whiteboard, and the people that were, attending these meetings remotely, they didn't quite have that same type of experience. Oftentimes, they would not be able to see something that was, being posted on a whiteboard, and it was just very difficult for them to really feel like they were a part of the meeting itself. And then also, when we look at how the pandemic actually affected that situation, you moved away from those in-room, in-person experiences more to a remote type of experience. And excuse me, now people would use like screen sharing applications to be able to get their messages conveyed across appropriately. So that kind of leveled the playing field a bit. But moving forward, again, we want people to have that same experience no matter where they are, whether they're remote or whether they're local in the meeting room itself, or even if they're on the go, if they're in the airport, being able to share and see content that's being in a meeting, it's just a very critical component of the capabilities of a meeting platform today. And those rooms that were previously implemented, we want them to be leveraged in a very efficient manner, and we need to recognize that there are better ways to do that. We want those rooms to be able to be utilized not just in a, look, we're going to present some content here and you're going to absorb it, but more of a collaborative type of experience. This is where we start looking at other devices as well in the meeting space, like Surface Hub, for example, being able to collaborate back and forth with each other in a large format display environment, and also share that content, not just locally in that room, but to anybody else that might be attending the meeting as a participant, no matter where they are. We want them to have that better virtualized experience and not feel so disconnected just because they aren't there on site. We also want people to be able to, send out broadcasts. Maybe the design has changed where it's not just an internal meeting. This is something that's going to benefit a partner base or a customer base. We have situations that allow us in the Teams environment to be able to broadcast that out so that everyone can actually stay connected and see content as they need in those meetings. And that Teams Rooms experience, like I mentioned, the idea is to have the same experience no matter where you are, and be able to effectively and productively collaborate with one another, regardless of the meeting space that they're in. This could be, maybe not even just the meeting rooms that were on location at the corporate office. Maybe even in people's home offices, they have the ability to put up for example, a Teams room system, and really have that same type of experience no matter where that they are. Overall, I mean, we talk about changes that of the way things used to be, people feeling disconnected, like they weren't actually really a part of the meeting. They were just kind of like watching in the background. We want to foster the inclusivity aspect of things, no matter where those people are. And we want it to be easy to use. We want devices that are simplified and not complicated, and be able to be set up and configured either in advance or even during ad hoc meeting situations. And we want those devices also to be flexible in the room systems that they're available for. And part of that is really identifying, what type of device is most applicable for the type of room that's actually going to be used. So we're going to talk about that part here in just a moment. And I think one of the key things, more than likely from the IT perspective side of the house, is that they want to make sure that they have devices that are very secured and able to be managed up to their corporate specifications that they have. So partnering with Yealink, we have purpose-built devices that are configured with the Microsoft Teams version of it that's applicable to a meeting room type of environment. And behind the scenes on there, it's not just about the device itself, it's about the analytics that come with it, really being able to validate, what is the ROI of the device and the room system that we've chosen to invest in today.
Hey, Liam, I actually have the questions though. When you talked about, ROI specifically, I do actually have the questions that is also from a lot of our Yealink customers. So I actually agree that these days customers' demand on Teams room or video conferencing room in general are growing rapidly. With that, you just shared that significant 250 million monthly Teams active users, and even with the likelihood to climb. However, a lot of our customers are wondering the profitability behind selling and promoting Teams room solutions, specifically apart from the margins of the product values or the hardware itself. What are the revenue resources or values Microsoft could bring to our mutual customers specifically? Do you have any hints or ideas on that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, the profitability, it comes with providing the best experience for customers. What we look at is, different tiered aspects of that. We look at things like the devices themselves. You mentioned the profitability of the device. Looking at things like the margins, any kind of extended warranties that are available for the devices, and really the idea behind that is prolonging that ROI life cycle. IT managers, they want to get out of that. Well, I've bought some hardware, and next thing I know, it's legacy based and no longer supported type of situation. And that's why we've chosen to partner with valuable vendors out there like Yealink, who actually are able to provide devices that have a very long life cycle to them to really prove that ROI. And there's also a couple of different other sides of the house. There's like the licenses, for example. We have different licensing situations that can be applied to the devices, whether it's a scenario that an IT manager wants to completely keep all of the support itself in-house, and they want to handle all the management and configuration and control of the devices. And then we also have a premium service of licensing scenario where Microsoft can handle a lot of that heavy lifting from the management and control and configuration aspect of things, to allow the IT guys to really do what they need to do inside the organization, instead of having to spend so much time setting up and configuring devices and deploying them. So there's also ways that we can work with other partners, for example, other cloud solution providers who have the ability to help procure these licenses for either their partners or their customers as needed. Talking about that managed and professional services side of things, what that really equates to is a lot of AI capabilities that are deeply embedded in the devices, in the application, and in specifically that version of Windows that's installed on these devices to help identify any kind of potential issue that may occur, and also automatically remediate issues as they're occurring as best as it can, so that, again, taking the heavy lifting off the internal IT staff putting that towards Microsoft to be able to help manage that process for you. And those situations they're not designed to take the place of any managed services that one of our partners might provide. They're actually really designed to be complementary to their services. And also looking as well into other things like programs and incentives. We have discounts that are available between our various OEMs and distribution partners. There are other things that can be considered like proof of concepts, maybe even try and buy type of situations, rapid deployment scenarios that really help get devices in there more on a trial basis, validate that everything works really well, and then move forward with deploying more devices as needed. And really, all of these examples that we've got showing up here, these all really lead to partner profitability and value to the customer. So there's benefits on both sides. The situations here, we talked about just briefly the idea being, let's determine what kind of room system is most applicable for the rooms that we have. And maybe it's a situation where the rooms that were previously in place are not necessarily going to be the same rooms moving forward. There are other aspects to consider, like social distancing and safety requirements that companies are starting to implement today they are having an effect on the way rooms are deployed today. Let's be honest. So what we look at is partnering with device manufacturers like Yealink, who can really help us really fixate on what is the most applicable room system device setup and layout for the room that I have. Is it a small, medium, or even smaller than that, like a huddle space? Or is it more on the mid to slightly larger size room system where they need, things like more cameras, more speakers, more microphones to be able to adequately, adapt for the amount of people who are actually in the room. And those amounts of people, that's one of those other things that's changed. We have social distancing situations that have kicked in that said, before we might have had an office room that had 5 or 6 chairs in it, and now we need those people to be 6 feet apart. So now we're spacing people out significantly more than we used to. And that room that was before designed for 5 or 6 people, maybe now it's only a 2 to 3 person room. And then we want to make sure to provision a hardware base that's able to cover adequately for that type of room size and layout. Again, this is kind of where additional mics and speakers might take place, because if people are sitting further away from each other, you still want them to be able to be heard within the meeting to anybody who's attending remotely. So this one right here, this slide really resonates with me because it really gives that aha moment. And I'll use a sports analogy here, that the age-old adage about you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. And when we apply that towards the meeting room opportunities that are out there, there are 60 million meeting rooms that are out there today, and only 6% of them have been provisioned with room systems in there. A lot of the rooms, quote unquote room systems that are in there today, you find out is just like a hardware PC, USB mic, maybe a webcam, probably don't even have a whiteboard, or at least no way to display that whiteboard to anybody who's attending a meeting remotely. And even in 2020 itself, I mean, you're looking at 6.2 million rooms that were worldwide at a penetration rate with video conferencing hardware at only 7%. And then also that's the large size, and then also the small and medium size room, a penetration rate of only 5%. So again, when we average that out, 6%. And what that translates to is 94% market opportunity today. That's just massive. So do you want to miss 100% of the shots that you take, or do you want to hit 100% of the shots that you take? Because so far the industry's only done 6% of those.
Definitely not, Liam. Thanks for providing those figures. I think that 60 million numbers there is so impressive. It's truly insane, especially when we are now at the stage of 6% penetration rate. So here I would like to basically narrow it down specifically about our North American market. That would be more relevant to our customers in today's event. So out of that 60 million market opportunities, North American market is actually consisted of 9.4 million. With the majority, let's say 68% are around, small room spaces, 25% are on medium room, and the rest of them are on large meeting room. As you know, that Yealink is the only few vendors that's capable of providing full range Teams room solutions. That just simply means that we could pretty much cover all market opportunities here, other than just a portion of it. So thank you, Liam, for providing those figures here. And I guess so now with all these industry figures and about the current challenges in hybrid workplace, and given its enormous market opportunities and growth, I'd like to share with you all on what solutions Yealink and Microsoft have developed to address all these needs and demands. So here I'd like to share with you that Yealink has actually had 3 strategic product lines, Microsoft certified product lines, including video conferencing kits on Windows and Android, personal devices such as Teams room panels, AI speaker, webcam, headset, and speakers, anything like that. And last but not least, the Teams phones. I'd like to specifically highlight our room systems. Right? We deliver solutions for both Android and Windows-based solutions. Our Microsoft Teams room system on Windows, as what we call the MVC series, produces the best meeting quality and extremely popular when it comes to medium to large spaces, given its flexibility and customization factors. On the other hand, our Android all-in-one collaboration bar simplify and ease the process of the deployment, providing an easy-to-use and integrated solution that is perfect for huddle to medium room spaces. Before we dig into the features and advantage of our solutions, why don't we just start off with our first round of Lucky Draw then? I would say that's a good idea though. So in this round, we would like to send out 5 pieces of devices, either the UVC 30 4K webcam or our WH62 DAC headset. And then the winners, you can pick the one you want. So the rule is we're just going to pick the answers with the questions we are going to share by the following sequences. Simply type the answer in the chat box and have a chance to win all these gears. And here's the questions, guys. You guys ready? So please just select the room sizes that you are more interested in looking into, or you are more familiar, dealing with. Simply type the digital numbers in the chat box to win. Either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just type the one that you're most interested in, and then we will pick those answers in sequence, and then we'll announce the winners in our second round of Lucky Draw. Just seeing a lot of numbers there. People's typing. Very excited about this program. I think we just gotta move on to our next round because we should have enough answers. So thank you all for participating in this round of Lucky Draw, and please be patient until we announce more prizes in our second round and third round, and you guys are gonna love it, trust me. And so now I'd like to deliver a presentation about our product portfolio and specifically advantages of Yealink Microsoft certified video conferencing solutions. Here I'd like to specifically highlight our Teams room solutions on Windows. So long story short, there are 4 phrases I like to conclude its unique selling points, which are easy to deploy, flexible in audio options, exclusive for extra large meeting room, and obviously AI featured room systems. So here at Yealink as a vendor of Microsoft, our ultimate goal is to deliver an immersive meeting experience to our clients. So in the past, let's say face-to-face interactions is probably the easiest way or the most efficient way when it comes to in a form of a meeting. But with the pandemic situation going on, accelerating this hybrid work style, remote meeting are more and more encouraged and adopted. But how do we keep things simple and easy to understand when it comes to deploy and use the technology? I think the answer starts from simplify the procedure in order to democratize our product offerings. So our first advantage is that we simplify the process of deployment with the one Cat5e technology. Specifically, there's only one cable needed between the table area and the TV. Users with little or no or limited IT background will still know how to use it, as if you are just using a smartphone, right? Plug and play and easy to use. So that, on the other hand, also provides a super tidy and clean table, which I think everyone loves that style. And our second advantage, I guess, is the flexibility on audio options. Specifically for medium to large meeting spaces, we provide options such as wireless DAC mic, Wi-Fi mic, ceiling mic, and table mics, and more. And here I'd like to provide an example as our MVC 940. So this is a perfect example in the sense of using a VCM 38 ceiling mic other than a table mic or wireless microphone, considering, as you can see in the pictures here, with the room sizes like that, tables around, I guess Yealink is absolutely the one to go when it comes to room sizes like that to ensure voice pickup and stuff like that. And also with MVC 940, it could also support up to 9 cameras. 9 cameras. That again just stands us out as the only solution provider to offer standardized multi-cam solutions in an extra large scenario, extra large room scenario. Then I would also like to highlight our newly launched devices as a result of development with Microsoft Teams. We have introduced our Yealink and Speech as the first AI speaker capable of using features such as voice command like "Hey Cortana" or Microsoft transcription without any physical touch. Liam just talked about social distancing. I think this is just going to be very helpful and handy given the pandemic situation where social distancing nowadays is so encouraged. We have also just launched our newly Teams Room panel that again shapes the whole Teams Rooms ecosystem with the LED bar on the sides that could easily detect the room status. That's just easy to use at the end of the day. So after a brief introduction, I would actually like to show you guys a nicely made video to present a tutorial of how to use an AI speaker in a Teams Room environment. Thank you.
Hey Cortana, join the meeting for me.
Joining your 12 p.m.
Hey Viola, good to see you today. How are you?
Hi guys, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Please wait for a minute.
Okay.
Hey Cortana, invite Kate to the meeting.
Which Kate should I add?
The third one.
Adding Kate Joe.
Hi Kate, how are you today?
Hi Edward, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Actually, we are doing a test now.
Okay, which part are you testing now?
We are doing a test for M speech, and I really appreciate for joining. Hey Cortana, end the meeting.
Okay, I'll end the meeting.
You can use the M speech to do the meeting control. You can mute or unmute M speech, as well as adjusting the volume.
Cool, fantastic. Thank you, team, for making such an easy to understand and great features of the end speech. Liam, let's just talk about end speech while we present, end speech specifically. How do you feel about a video when it comes to, around features such as Hey Cortana or Microsoft transcriptions? And why is it so meaningful for Microsoft specifically to deliver solutions like these in a Teams room environment?
I mean, ease of use really comes to mind just right off the top of my head. How simplified is it to walk into a room and be able to control everything automatically with your voice? I think there's a lot of safety aspects that come into play with that, especially today with the pandemic situations going on. People really want to avoid touching things as much as possible. So being able to say things to get your meeting started and to be able to control the meeting itself with your voice and not having to potentially touch any contaminated surfaces. And there's also actionability with that too. So there's the ability in the intelligent speaker system to recognize who said what in the meeting. Hopefully everyone caught on there that in the meeting itself, the person that was speaking was actually tagged and identified, and those transcripts are saved for later use. So if someone is listening to the meeting or watching it after the fact on demand, they're still going to be able to see who said what at any given point in the meeting itself. There's also things like ADA, American Disabilities Act compliancy requirements that some organizations have, where there's a requirement that everything has to be captured in transcription format. And this is the means to be able to do that in a Teams meeting.
Sounds like a necessity. Had never heard of that before, though. Thanks for providing those insights there. Cool. And also, to speak about end speech specifically, I also would like to, kind of highlight or show off why do we want it to be the first vendor to, kind of roll out or launch this end speech specifically. Because, Yealink here, we're not afraid to try and to be upfront specifically. Here, Yealink, our revenues, 50% of them are dedicated to R&D. So we would like to work with, Microsoft specifically to roll out these great features of M speech, for example, and would like to see how the market loves these social distancing and these cool features because pandemic, our ultimate, like I said before, our ultimate goal is to create an immersive meeting experience. It's not just about one touch. We pursue zero touch, then the one touch. So that's like our ultimate goal.
That's awesome. I mean, with these devices in mind, I don't want to speak for everybody, but what do you think? Can we give a couple of these things away?
100%. So while we just talked about end speech, why don't just give away some end speech then? Cool. So good idea. So I think we should just start our second round of Lucky Draw. But before that, let me just quickly announce the first round Lucky Draw winners. So in the first round there, I have David Keith, I have Richard, and I have another David. I have Brian and Jeff as Lucky Draw winners. So congratulations, guys, for winning those UVC30 webcam and WH62. You guys just let us know which one you prefer, and we will have a sales folks approaching you within the next 3 business days to grab your shipping address and whatnot. And now let's just go on with our second round of Lucky Draw. So same rule there, but this time here we are going to send out 2 end speech where you can use Hey Cortana features or Microsoft transcription. But just so you guys know that if you like to enjoy the full functionality of end speech, it is highly recommended to bundle it with our solutions. So our current available solutions are MVC 320 and the MVC 640. So if you guys are ready, let's just do it. So here's the question. Please just choose the following options by typing the digital numbers there to have a chance to win. Let us know what features is most interested. And meanwhile, my team is sending the Lucky Draw winners from the first round at the same time as well. I think a lot of our audiences just ask about end speech a lot of time, Liam. I just can't imagine the volume there. They just pursue, Cortana features, transcription. Just didn't expect that volume coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, like I mentioned, with the pandemic situation, people are realizing the capabilities that they can use with devices like this, and I think it's about time that the market has picked up, and we're really proud of Yealink for bringing these devices to market.
Exactly. Cool. I think we should have enough answers from those from the chat box there. So I'd like to move on. So the next part there, I'd like to share some great features on our Android collaboration bar A20 and A30 and how we designed that to address today's requirements. Again, it becomes so simple and even way simpler to set up a collaboration bar than a Windows-based solutions. With only 3 steps, you could set up the bar just as if you are unbox or set up your smartphone. We also think that bringing in an immersive meeting experience can't be possible without intelligence. With features such as auto framing and speaker tracking, it helps prevent audiences, kind of represent your eyes to capture the whole scene automatically. Just as if you're in a face-to-face meeting with someone, no remote control is needed. You just have to sit there, be there on your seat, and then wait for the technology to solve the problem just by itself. We are also proud to be the only vendor capable of carrying wireless sharing options for Teams Room Android solutions. So things like with the WPP20 presentation dongle, you can share and sync your content to the TV within seconds. Last but not least, our A20 or A30 collaboration bar is supplied by a powerful processor. With a Snapdragon 845 processor, it allows the devices to upgrade up to Android 11 and upgrade to the latest Teams Room features released by Microsoft and Yealink specifically. Unlike the previous Snapdragon 835, just can't do these kind of features. So here is just kind of like a scene we imagine and define what an immersive meeting would look like. You just have to bring your laptop to the room, tap on the start button on the touch panel, just like these ones here, plug in the WPP20 wireless presentation dongle to your laptop, and then start your meeting straight away. For the rest of it, just like I said before, just leave it to the technologies. And we have just prepared a short clip to show you what I mean. Cool. That's exactly what I mean by an immersive meeting. It's easy to start, simple to use. And now I'd also like to share with you or show you how cool and how easily to set up an A30 collaboration Teams bar in a real life scenario.
Hello guys, thanks for joining. Today we'll be introducing the Yealink Microsoft Teams Room on Android. Before we get started, I would like to share some of the keywords of the solutions. Android-based, native Teams, and all-in-one device. It is very easy to deploy, very easy to use, and it supports the AI features like auto-framing and speaker tracking. Now let's get started. Before we go to the details, I would like to point out the main differences between 820 and 830. The 820 is designed for the huddle space and small size meeting rooms, while the 830 is designed for the medium-sized rooms. Compared with 820, 830 built in with dual eye camera, one for detection and the other one for the video output. This can ensure the video quality in a larger room with more people. Here you can see all the items in the box. We already provide everything you need to set up the meeting room, even a wall mount just in case you want to mount the touch panel on wall. So you don't need to purchase any additional items to set up the room. How easy to deploy the device is always one of the key factors when people are evaluating a meeting room solutions. So here I would like to go through how we can easily set up Yealink 830 as an example. Let's first take a look at the interfaces of the bar. We have a DC port here to support the power, and we have two HDMI ports to support the dual display, and we have an Internet port for the network. Both of 820 and 830 support the Wi-Fi feature, but we do recommend the customer to use the wired network in consideration of a more stable network during the meeting. Besides, we have a VCH port here for the functionalities like the wired content sharing, and if the customer is looking for any external audio solutions, this is where to connect the external mic. There are two USB ports on the side of the 830, one on 820. This is where to pair with the Yealink wireless presentation pod WPP20 and connect to any external mouse, keyboard, and touch display. Now, let's talk about the camera of the bar. One of the differences between Yealink meeting bar and others is the lens cap. While the camera is in use, the lens cap will open. And if the meeting ends or the camera is not in use, the lens cap will be closed automatically. So the user will make sure that they are not being watched. We can control the camera manually, or we can enable the AI features like auto-framing and speaker tracking to increase the overall meeting experience. Let's see what happens if we enable the auto-framing feature. As you can see, the AI camera will identify how many people in the room and find the best frame to include all the people. Let's test the scenario where more people come into the room during the meeting. Hi, Shirley, could you please come in? As you can see, the camera reacts quickly when the condition changed in the room. Let's see what happens if we change the camera mode to speaker tracking. The camera supports the voice print recognition. Let's say if I'm keep speaking during the meeting, the camera will know I'm the speaker and zoom into me. If other people start speaking, the camera will quick react and zoom into them as well. Hey, Aaron, say something.
Okay, my turn to speak now. Well, you may notice that the camera could easily recognize my voice and focus on me. It definitely would be helpful in different scenarios. This is just a simple test about our smart camera of meeting bar. Put it in a real situation. For instance, only few people participate in the meeting. Auto-framing could totally satisfy the needs. As for meeting with more people, the speaker tracking feature ensures the camera focus on the presenter, which would absolutely improve the meeting experience.
In this part, I would like to introduce the Yealink unique wireless content sharing solution by using the wireless presentation pod WPP20. By using WPP20, you can simply plug in the WPP20 into the PC and press the button to share the content wirelessly. This can be used during the meeting or locally. This will help people to present their content from anywhere in the meeting room. If there are many people in the room, people who sit at the far end of the room may not be seen clearly. In this situation, using the multi-focus framing feature, the camera will provide an individual frame to each person, and you help the other side clearly seeing everyone's face in the room.
Right. Thanks, team, for making an easy to understand video. Liam, just so you know that with our Teams Room solution specifically, a lot of the customers these days also have a lot of requests on our Teams Room panel and how they integrate with our bundle solutions. So why don't we just talk about Teams Room panel then? So here, I think my questions for you though is what's positioning for Teams Room panel from a Microsoft perspective?
We feel at Microsoft that the Teams Room panel, it just makes sense to complement a room system itself. We've all been in that situation where we're like walking down a hallway, we're trying to find a meeting room, we can't tell which room is available, which room's already booked. And wouldn't it be great if there was just some kind of signage outside the room that we could see this at a glance? And that's really where the panel systems come into play today. We have a digital display that shows not just that the meeting is occurring maybe in a room, but also the meetings that are scheduled for that room, so that, like I said, give the example, someone's walking through trying to find somewhere where they can actually take a meeting from, they can see that that room is actually going to continue to be booked maybe throughout the course of the day, and they need to find somewhere else. Okay, now what do? The Teams panel itself will also allow that person walking by to be able to input onto that panel and try to find another location. And what will happen behind the scenes is that the panel will know the layout based on the Teams administration and configuration aspect of things, and make a suggestion that, hey, we see that there's another room available that you can take your meeting in, and here's the directions on how to get there. And it can even do things like pull up a floor plan to actually map out so the person knows where they're going in the office. In addition to that, those devices, it's not just limited to the meeting experience. So you talk about a lot of flexibility there. There are applications that can be leveraged on the panel systems to be able to use things like, you walk into a meeting and you're missing like the markers, for example. You need markers for the whiteboard. You can actually use that panel to make requests for any kind of facilities needs that may occur. Or, this meeting's running long. We want to use that panel right there to order, catering or something like that for the people who are stuck in the meeting for longer. And then we've seen another really interesting type of situation where maybe the administrator of the meeting itself wants to, they realized that the meetings run long and people were going to miss the rides that they were going to take before. They can actually leverage applications that are built for these kinds of devices to do things like order taxis or rideshare services to pick people up when the meeting actually is over. So there's a ton of flexibility with these panels, and we're really proud that Yealink has come to market with these.
Really appreciate that comment, sir, because your explanation just been so meaningful, because people just think that this room panel is just a scheduling panel, but actually can do more than just scheduling and things like that. And Liam, so I would like to actually go back to things like collaboration bar, A20, A30, because we just talked about that previously. Mm-hmm. And here's my questions. Also a question from our Yealink customer, that is, why customers would think that Teams room system would be a perfect option for small to medium size spaces, and what's Microsoft's competitive advantages, especially in this SMB market specifically, given that previously we shared that 68% of the market opportunities are around these areas?
Yeah, I mean, it's really about flexibility at the end of the day, being able to leverage devices that are able to be used for any type of room system. And this is where like the Android bars really come into play. So for those small to medium-sized rooms, you can't get much more simplified than one of those all-in-one units to be able to deploy very quickly and easily. And the funny thing is that a lot of people think, well, why would Microsoft, push Android? Why wouldn't it just be pure Windows-based devices? And like I mentioned in the beginning, we recognize that the way we used to do things has changed, and it needs to continue to change. And flexibility is really at the core component of that. So at the end of the day, what's the best room system out there to use? It's the one that you enjoy using. So it doesn't matter whether it's Android based. If you have a preference in that route, absolutely, we have devices with our partners in Yealink to be able to provide for that. Or if it's a pure Windows based solutions, you have the Teams room systems like the MBC series that can certainly handle those kinds of deployments.
Exactly. Liam, while we're just talking about Teams room panel, like you said before, why not just sending out some Teams room panel then? I think this is a great idea to send out freebies to our audiences today.
Who's going to complain about that, right?
100%. Cool. So same as before, we like to send out 2 Teams room panel. So thanks. So here's the same rule. We're going to pick the first and the 9th answers from the chat box there, and we will announce the winners. But before we start this round, I'd like to say congratulations to Joe and Steve, who won the AI speaker and speech on the previous round. Thank you guys, and our team will share that answer in the chat box there. So now let's move on to the 3rd round, Teams room panel. Here's the questions. So the questions is choose your preferred collaboration bar options, either the A20 or A30. Simply type A30 or A20 in the chat box there, and we'll calculate the answers from there. Hopefully you will love the A30 because it comes with, like, this one here is the A30, comes with the physical PTZ cameras. Unlike the ePTZ, can capture more scenes and stuff like that. But still, the A20 is also very powerful collaboration bar coming with, speaker tracking and auto framing features. I guess we have a lot of answers there already. So thank you guys again for participating in this round. And I know that you guys love that a lot. And just keep waiting until the very last round when we kind of announce our partner program, and we'll have a lot of exciting news to announce. But now I'd like to pass the next topic back to Liam to share with our friends about his thoughts on the future of meetings specifically.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tyler. Remember in the beginning when we started talking that meetings have changed. They are not the way that they used to be. Rooms themselves have changed. The people that are in there have changed, and we need to be flexible on that. So we also need to be creative and think about how can we really get to where we need to be for people to feel very comfortable with meetings in general. And we do have a short video just to kind of highlight the potential vision that can be implemented for laying out the way the room systems are deployed. And you're going to notice that this is going to look very different than the traditional type of room layout that we're all used to, because we've all walked into those rooms where it's like a long rectangular room and there's seats all the way around the room, and at the very end of the far small wall you've got a couple, maybe two displays that are spread out across there. So take a look at this video and try to really realize that there are changes that can be implemented to make this so much better.
The future of work will be fluid, dynamic, and cloud-powered, with experiences that allow us to be there from anywhere at any time, with meetings that you can join seamlessly, that bring us together, that are inclusive, and everyone clearly represented. We see a future where meetings are immersive and spaces are designed around people, bringing everyone together around the same virtual table, even if they're not in the room. And dynamic meeting views that keep everyone connected to the content and each other. And everyone can connect face-to-face wherever they are, with intelligent gesture recognition that uses AI to recognize physical cues, like when people want to speak and when they've spoken. With interactive experiences like collaborative chats that complement meetings. And where presenters can stand out in front of their content. And rich interactive experiences, such as digital canvases, to unleash group creativity. Meetings of the future will be more intelligent, so you can disconnect when you need to, knowing AI-powered tools have got you covered with follow-ups and action items. Our vision for meetings is grounded in a simple belief. They should offer so much more than a one-time transaction, with intelligent tools and experiences that you can access before, during, and after to keep collaboration moving in the flow of work. Meetings of the future will be designed for everyone, offering the best of both worlds, whether you're in the room or across the globe.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
The future of work will.
So when I gave the example there of how room layouts are going to change, think back on that video where you saw people that were sitting across from one another in more of a natural type of environment. Because today, I mean, let's be honest, we're all used to that Brady Bunch tile-based kind of view, and Microsoft has really expanded that out with things like Together mode. But we started thinking, how can we take this even further than that? How can we make people feel like they've stepped outside of the box and stepped into the actual meeting? So that was just an example of where we feel that meetings are going to be going in the very, very near future. And to support those meetings themselves, we look at how to implement the management and the control of the meeting experience from the IT side of things. And we want to make sure that the IT people have the capabilities that they need to be successful in deploying those meeting room systems. in the beginning, we kind of talked about those different licensing scenarios to where you've got a standard and a premium service. And really the differentiators between there is that you're still going to get that same seamless type of joining experience, all the capabilities that are included within the application itself, and be able to manage that within the Teams admin center. But to add extra value on top of it with the premium services, now we're talking about things like AI kicking in to be able to recognize any type of potential issue that may occur and provide automatic remediation for it. And these can be things as simple as, no mic detected or no speaker detected, and the system will run through all of its troubleshooting capabilities to try to reinitialize those devices automatically without any involvement from anyone else needing to occur. So it really simplifies the process. It takes the heavy lifting off the IT staff and then puts that back into the platform that they're already paying for service for in the first place. So it makes a lot of sense and a lot of value to them.
Cool. Liam, I guess because Microsoft every year you guys have a lot of CSV promote, any promote, and here regionally we have our North America promotion as well. So I'd like to share with our team that today we also have some general offerings to partner who attend the event today. So at Yealink, we have provided tons of sales program, but before that I'd like to highlight our deal registrations and demo program. But before I specifically highlight that one, let me just announce the winners who won those Teams Room panel on the third round of Lucky Draw. Just wait a minute from me. So I have Kevin and Tom to win the Teams Room panels. Congratulations, guys! You guys are going to be the first group of Yealink customers to have the Teams Room panel. Hope you guys loved it. So back to this topic. So talking about deal registration, specifically, if any project you think that Yealink could be a potential fit here, make sure you create an exclusive reseller account and submit that through our official system, ORS system, which my team now is sending the registration link in the chat box there. With deal that has been submitted, you are not only enjoying an exclusive account, but with that project, the project is also secure and protected. By saying secure and protected, we serve our customers in a first come, first served manner. So once you register an opportunity with us, we would not accept the same deal twice to make sure your profit is secure and protected. And the second program, I guess I'd like to share with you. But before that, there's one figure I wanted to highlight specifically. That's $3,000 up to 10 grand. So if there's any deal with more than 25 pieces of MTR Microsoft Teams Room devices, there's also a direct sponsorship on Microsoft directly. So just if you think of any Teams Room devices, specifically the Yealink certified one, make sure you submit that deal through our official account system. And the second program I'd like to share with you guys is actually a demo program. So just now we share so many cool and unique features about our device specifically, but there's no better way for you to know how exactly that'll work until you physically touch and feel it. And we do have our demo program for you to enjoy up to 90 days free trial. If you like to keep the device permanently for future use, we even have this kind of exclusive NFR program for you to enjoy. So please, if any solution we have ever talked about today that is out of interest, make sure you complete the form my team is sending out right now. So help us to complete the form there to kind of click on the devices that's out of interest, the tags and whatnot, and that also help us to understand how to improve on our second and the third event going forward. And our sales folks, once we receive your response, we will reach out to you within the next 3 to 4 business days to kind of offer these benefits to you. And for customers who help us to complete this survey, we would also pick 60 lucky winners to win a mix of our UVC30 4K webcam and the UVC20 HD webcam, and also last but not least, our A20 Teams collaboration bar. So please help us complete this form and we can collect your feedbacks and reach out to you and send all these out to you guys. Thank you guys for attending today's session. And now we're coming to the very last session of today, the Q&A section. And Liam, I think we were just looking around all these chat boxes there to pick typical questions the customer would like to ask. And also guys, I have a pre-sale engineer team sitting with me on the left-hand side and right-hand side here to answer a question if you do have any.
I'm seeing a question coming in. And this actually makes a lot of sense. I mean, you're giving away a lot of devices here, so this really comes into play. And with the global shortage of most consumer goods right now going on, how is Yealink poised to handle the demand for these devices?
Exactly. I think that question is so important, especially when it comes to consumer electronics, the IT industry. People is a lot of vendors these days are experiencing chipset shortage, material price increase. But as international vendor overseas here in China, we do have the advantage to climb up with the manufacturing level. So in terms of the A20, A30 collaboration model we talked about today, or the MVC series, everything here we have ample stocks available for our customers. So if you guys do have any deal that specifically would like to purchase anything, we definitely would have that level of quantity or stocks for